A very good morning to you at home, to former Newcastle and Bournemouth midfielder Dan Gosling and to Michael Bridge. Only one place to start, and that is with Benjamin Sesko. It could be a crucial day. We understand that his preference is to join Manchester United over rival bidders Newcastle United. Let's go live to Manchester and speak to our reporter, Daniel Kahn. Right, OK, Daniel, just bring us up to speed. And are we right in saying it looks like he wants to go to Old Trafford?
Yeah, good morning, Tom. I mean, this has turned into one of the sagas of the summer for Benjamin Sesko. I mean, yesterday was a bit of a roller coaster of a day, wasn't it? We know how keen Newcastle United are in terms of trying to sign Sesko, and they upped their bid yesterday to just under £70 million plus add-ons for the Slovenian striker. Then the question was, well, what would Manchester United do in reaction? And it was always somewhat understood that they would only formally enter the race if they had any indication that Šeško's preference was Old Trafford in terms of his preferred destination, and everything indicates that they got that feeling because they then entered the race a bit of under Newcastle's around £65 million plus add-ons. And that is very interesting because that would indicate again that United are pretty comfortable going in less than what Newcastle have, but trusting that Leipzig, if Old Trafford is his preferred destination, that they will follow what Šeško desires. And as we understand it, as you said, that is Manchester United, and a huge boost for United in that sense if they do sign Šeško, to add another forward to the line, knowing that Ruben Amorim wants to improve their goal record because it was pretty not impressive last season. But we'll have to wait and see. No agreement club to club just yet, but it does seem, as things are trending, that he could be here at Old Trafford.
Well, Ruben Amorim has repeatedly said that they need to score more goals. Now, if Sesko signs, how far have they gone in addressing that problem?
Yeah, I mean, huge, Tom. If he does sign, United would have signed 3 players in Šeško and Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha, who scored 48 league goals between them last season. And let's not forget, I talk about their record last season, only 4 teams scored less goals than Manchester United in the Premier League last season. And I spoke to Ruben Amorim on multiple occasions last season, and he spoke about the need of needing to be more clinical in front of goal. And that, you would hope, would be addressed by signing these 3 players to add creativity. And the thing about Šeško as well is he scored 21 goals in all competitions last year, but it was the pure variety of goals he scored, not just, say, in the box, but he's great in the air, he can score with both feet, and he's also a bit of a facilitator in the box as well. So you think him with the likes of Bruno Fernandes and Mbeumo and Cunha all around, and plus the likes of Ahmad, could just be a much more threatening force at Old Trafford and away. I mean, many games here at Old Trafford behind me, teams were very happy to settle in a defensive block, not really that bothered to see if United could break them down. With those signings, though, and if Šeško signs, you would think United will be a much more potent attack this season. But look, we'll have to wait and see. Šeško isn't over the line just yet, and I would spare a thought for Newcastle in terms of their targets. It seems like another one could be biting the dust while this whole noise around Alexander Isak is going on as well. But look, let's wait and see. Still a lot to go in this saga.
Dan, thank you. Yes, it's good morning to Dan Gosling and to Michael Bridge here in the studio. Dan, we'll start with you. We are getting the impression that Sesko would prefer to go to Manchester United, but can you understand why it would be a very tough decision, a nice decision to have, between Manchester United and Newcastle United?
Yes, obviously two huge clubs. I mean, Newcastle have closed that gap in recent seasons. Champions League football once again. So yeah, the pull of European football Champions League is great, but Manchester United is such a worldwide club, a huge club. They still have that pulling power. It's a really difficult one. Obviously, both paying similar amounts of money. Wages probably similar, give or take. So yeah, it's really club to club.
Michael, you know all about the inner workings of transfers. With with Manchester United feeling confident, that means they've clearly got some sort of encouragement, because if they're confident that they're going to get him, they must know something that maybe others don't.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the other side, Newcastle fans probably a bit concerned that it's going on and on and on. Look, Newcastle can only do so much. They've done as much as they can. But again, as Dan said, Manchester United, so much is made about European football. I don't think it matters as much anymore. It's still Manchester United. And amazingly, it's unbelievable. We're not going to see Manchester United in any European competition next season. OK, you're going to miss out on a little bit of finances, but it might do Ruben Amorim a little bit of good for one season, just as a club reset. We know Amorim, he said time after time, he doesn't like joining clubs mid-season. And you could tell, he said it a lot of times during the season as well. Then you had the Europa League games non-stop, and they end up having a very poor finish in the league, but they still, regardless of no Europe, have this pull. I suppose it's a massive thanks to Sir Alex Ferguson, I think, still, really, isn't it? It's still Manchester United Football Club. Newcastle have done all they can, but it looks like he's heading to Old Trafford.
Yeah, Dan, why do Manchester United still have that pull? Because, as Michael says, they're not in European football. They finished 15th in the league last season. They only got 42 points in the whole of last season. So how can they still attract these top names?
I know. I mean, I was up there, Carrington, last week, and speaking with Darren Fletcher, and just the sheer size of the club. He was explaining it all to me after we played them in our under-18s fixture. But I mean, the players they still attract, they're still attracting big names. They're still a huge attraction all over the world, and players want to pay for that club. It's historic. The history is there for everyone to see, and Manchester United, that walking out Old Trafford is still a place that players want to go to. Obviously, the new owners, the new stadium coming in. A few years' time, they're going to be playing in this incredible new stadium, hopefully. And yeah, for the likes of Sesco. But what I would say is Sesco has been on a lot of people's radars, but he seems to be the third, fourth striker. So if Newcastle do miss out, yes, it's going to be a hammer blow because it's happened with 4 or 5 other targets already. But what I would say, I wouldn't say he was the first choice on any of these clubs at the moment.
I'll just read out, we've got an update on Benjamin Sesko as this has been going on, actually, such as the transfer window. So this news is just into us. Manchester United are now advancing, so it's pushing on a bit with their talks with RB Leipzig over the signing of Sesko. This is just into us, by the way. No full agreement yet, that's crucial, but discussions are understood to be heading in a positive direction, so also crucial. Now, according to Sky in Germany, it is still the case that Newcastle's offer is higher than Manchester United's as of this morning. However, United have moved their base fee closer to £69.6 million plus possible add-ons. That's in talks with Leipzig in the last few hours, according to Sky in Germany. Now, the structure of the offer is still being discussed, so Leipzig haven't yet accepted that current bid. Sky Germany believe it does need further improvement, and Newcastle's offer is a guaranteed £69.6 million plus add-ons, and that one does meet the requirements. So Manchester United is still slightly lower than Newcastle's, but we're told they're getting there with Manchester United. Sesco's got a great relationship with RB Leipzig. It's understood to be very respectful, this whole discussion between the player and the club at the moment. And he wants to ensure that if he leaves, it is on good terms. Now, as soon as an agreement is reached, we expect Sesco to fly to the UK. So it's quite strange, that one, Michael, isn't it? Because the Newcastle's bid is acceptable. Manchester United's isn't acceptable, but is moving in the right direction. It does seem like Leipzig and the player are just waiting for that to be done.
I literally said 2 minutes ago, Newcastle can't do any more. And that's how they will be feeling, and they'll be disappointed hearing this. But they, as a football club, will get to a stage, maybe even today, where they have to move on. They don't want to keep going on about players they've missed out on. They can't do any more, and it's clear, reading your latest update, that this player wants to go to Manchester United.
How much does this worry you, as a former Newcastle player, who knows a lot of people at the club as well? How worrying is it for you, their window in general? We are going to get on to Isak in a moment, but they have missed out on other targets. It's not just Sesco. We know how much money Newcastle have got. We know that they're in the Champions League. We know they've got a manager who has been brilliant ever since he got to St James's Park. It seems like everything's in place at Newcastle, yet for some reason this summer isn't going their way.
Yeah, when you get to the Champions League, you're obviously in the market with all the other big clubs, and the list of targets that they've missed out on. If you look at the clubs that they've gone to, I mean, they're all the top end in world football. So you're in a very small market. There's not too many world-class players that can come in and improve you. And like you say, you're competing with City, Chelsea, Liverpool now. That's the level you've gone to. So it's a really, really difficult one.
And scouts are going to visit the same players, aren't they, really? When you see the scouts, Villa, Tottenham, Newcastle, Chelsea, Arsenal, they all go and see the same players now, don't they?
Exactly that. I mean, the targets were right. The list of names that they missed out, João Pedro, Liam Delap, I mean, they tried getting them to early doors, but then you compete with Chelsea, and unfortunately, the both of them have picked Chelsea, and they've started fantastic for them as well, which Newcastle fans didn't want to see, probably.
And you know, you look at Newcastle though as well. When they had the takeover, they went like a bullet train with their transfers. Started off with Kieran Trippier, Bruno Guimaraes, one of the best midfielders in the Premier League still. Sandro Tonali, yes, he had the ban, come back, quality player. Isak, great signing. Anthony Gordon, great signing. Sven Botman, yes, injured. Livramento, brilliant signing. Lewis Hall's going to be a great player. They've all been pretty good signings under Eddie Howe. And it's just, you feel like if you're cruising down a motorway at 70, but then tops. But then you immediately, all of a sudden, you've come into some traffic, and that's what I feel with Newcastle fans. It stopped, and we didn't want it to stop. We've just won a trophy. We want to carry on. We're back in the Champions League, and that's why I feel they're finding this hard at the moment.
I feel it was that first level of player coming in to improve the squad. There was so much out there. But now you need to improve the squad to the next level, and that's when it starts getting harder and harder, and that's where they're finding difficulty now.
Yeah, let's just recap that news that Manchester United are advancing as quickly as they can with RB Leipzig. Talks, we're told, are progressing well between the two clubs, and Benjamin Sesko, the player, does actually want to go to Manchester United. So pretty positive for them, not positive for Newcastle. However, to give some positives, the transfer window is not closed yet. There's still 3.5 weeks to go. And Alexander Isak, Michael, is still a Newcastle player. What is the latest with this?
And the key we're told constantly, time after time, is if Newcastle don't bring an adequate replacement, a top-class striker, that man is not changing that shirt. He's still going to be a Newcastle player. Look, we've talked about Sesco likely to be picking Manchester United. Isak is back in Newcastle. Newcastle have been away on a pre-season tour. They're just coming back from South Korea. We believe they're back today. He's had treatment on Monday and Tuesday at Newcastle on this thigh issue. Newcastle returning today, but of course, he's had this individual training at his former club, Real Sociedad. I don't know about you. I don't know if that sits with me. I don't know about training at former clubs.
Is it normal?
I think, obviously, he must have come through there. He was there for a long time. With Newcastle being away, is there any point of him being in the training ground by himself? Probably not. I think that's going to make more noise. I think it's going to be disheartening for the player. It's probably not going to work correctly. Very, very lonely place, training grounds, when there's no one there. So, yeah, going back there, I don't see a huge issue with it. Yes, there's a minor thigh injury, if you want to call it that, but he's ticking over, and now he's back in Newcastle when the squad have returned from their pre-season tour. I think, look, the player is a really difficult situation, but once the season starts and he's still there, I think he's going to have to play.
So if you had a bit of a groin problem, go on the phone to someone at Bournemouth. Look, I'll get on with you all here. Can I just borrow the room for a few days?
Yeah, look, I have a great relationship down there, so yeah, it wouldn't be too bad.
In the situation as a whole, it certainly caught me by surprise. I think it caught a lot of people by surprise when Alexander Isak, when it came out that he did quite fancy a move. What did you make of it? How surprised were you?
I wasn't surprised. There's not many world-class number 9s. That was rumbling on in the background last year, really, about different clubs. But the fee is the fee. I think you see the prices these days.
Fee seems fair, you know. I know it's a lot, but if Newcastle won £150 million, are you going to get better?
No, you're probably
Isak?
not going to get better.
Can't name your price.
But 150 million is a lot of money. I mean, if they did get Sesco and Wissa, for example, get the two of them and still have a bit of money left over, would be great business. But yeah, it doesn't look like the Sesco one's happening. So now it's even more important to keep Alexander Isak.
What about a word on Eddie Howe? Because how many years were you under Eddie Howe? Quite a few.
Yeah, 6.5. Yeah,
6.5. So you know him well, and his man management from the outside is always praised. How hard is this going to be? How does he manage Alexander Isak right now?
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult. I mean, there's a lot of people in Isak's ear for sure. His head has definitely been turned. I mean, Liverpool, massive club. But like I say, I think there's definitely the player will know if Newcastle don't get a replacement, he's not going anywhere. And as soon as the season starts, he's going to have to get his head back in the game And I'm sure he will. That's just how players are. They want to compete, they want to play, and ultimately he has to play football. He's got 3 years left of his contract. Newcastle under no real pressure to sell him. I think once the season starts and the window closes, then he'll be fully back invested with Newcastle United.
And knowing, Eddie, how like you do, can he get that whole squad on the same page regardless of what happens here?
I think it might be a tough start for them. Obviously, the window, there's probably 3-4 Premier League games by the time the window's shut, so it could be a tough start. I know they've got Aston Villa away the first game. Whether he plays, probably not. But they've got enough for the first couple of weeks for sure, but it's just a long season, and if you don't have a proper number 9, then yeah, you're going to struggle.
Right, well, let's move on, because there were developments overnight involving Liverpool's Harvey Elliott. Michael, what can you tell us about this potential move?
Yeah, we're speaking a lot about RB Leipzig, aren't we, over the last few weeks, and they've made contact with Liverpool over a potential move for Harvey Elliott. Now, there are early stages, these talks, but Leipzig see Elliott as a potential replacement for Xavi Simons. We'll potentially be speaking about him later, this interest we understand from Chelsea. But now, this is an interesting one, both of you. We can say that Leipzig have been allowed to speak to Elliott as they look to sell the project to him. So that's something I'm interesting to hear. So Liverpool are allowing him to have a chat first while these talks are quite at an early stage.
Yeah, it seems like quite amicable at
Yes.
this stage between them. Right, let's go to Aston Villa. They've been quite quiet, but they're in talks with Nice to sign striker Evan Gesson. They are thought to have had at least one offer turned down, but negotiations remain ongoing, and Villa are pushing for an agreement now. Just a little bit of background to this one on this player. We did report earlier in this window that Wolves had considered making an offer for him. Nice are thought to want more than £25 million. He's 23 years old. He's got loads of admirers in the Premier League and around Europe. 14 goals and 9 assists for his club and Ivory Coast last season. But Michael, with this one, he's a forward. I'm starting to think, right, does he replace Marcus Rashford because his loan ended? Does he replace John Duran, who left in January and he wasn't properly replaced? But then there was also Asensio last season. Who does he replace? Because it's only one player.
Yeah, he was a great loan, Asensio. This player, we're told, is very, very versatile, can play anywhere across the forward line. Very exciting. He's a threat in the air from crosses. He's very physical as well. Now, this is why we're told that a number of Premier League clubs were looking at him, but it looks like Aston Villa have won the race for him. We talk about replacing players. Aston Villa have been quite quiet so far this summer. We know Unai Emery is so ambitious. We know the Villa fans devastated not getting back in that Champions League. We talked last night on the transfer show about clubs who haven't done much business. Villa really want to start ramping up some business now, and this would be a very good start.
Right, a reminder of the breaking news. Manchester United are advancing in talk with RB Leipzig over the signing of striker Benjamin Sesko. No full agreement yet, but discussions are understood to be heading in a positive direction. Right, still to come on Good Morning Transfers, we'll be discussing Manchester City. Will Jack Grealish stay at the club? We've talked Manchester United, we've talked Newcastle, we've talked Villa, we've talked Liverpool as well. So let's get to Tottenham. And the latest on Heung-Min Son. Can we accept confirmation of this LAFC move today, Michael?
Yes. Thanks. Yeah, I think
give us a bit more, please.
Yeah, I think it'll be confirmed today. He was in attendance during the overnight for their match in the MLS. So fee agreed, over £20 million, and I'm told the actual fee when that gets confirmed will be an MLS transfer record.
What do you think of the fee, Dan?
I think it's a lot. I mean, I saw it was 15 million, and obviously Daniel Levy's got another 5 million out of them. It's a great transfer for Spurs. I don't think he was going to play many games this year, and to receive 20 million for a 33-year-old who's been there for 10 years, great servant to the club, fantastic player. But yeah, it's great business from Spurs' point of view.
He'll always be loved, won't he, Michael?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the last remaining player that was in the Champions League final was always, he had some great moments there, some unbelievable goals, a joint golden boot. I remember him securing that joint golden boot away to Norwich, scoring a goal. It's a good goal when the home crowd clap a goal. So, yeah, he's been a wonderful servant for the club. The time was right. And as we reported over the last few months, the club will allow him to make a decision. The club would have probably got more money if a Saudi club came in. He wanted to go to LA. Remember, obviously, the World Cup next year. He wanted to get ready and acclimatised for that potentially, well, it probably will be his last World Cup, you can imagine. So, yeah, it's he goes with everyone's best wishes. There was not a dry eye in the Spurs, with the Spurs staff on after the Newcastle game Sunday. Even a couple of players, I think Vicario was trying to get him on the plane. But, you know, that's the sort of influence he had at the club, and Spurs will look to get a new club captain, which I expect to be Christian Romero.
Yeah, he's been a brilliant player for Tottenham. What do they need to do now, though, between now and the deadline? They've got a bit of money coming in from Son.
Yeah, and look, we know there's money for potentially a number 10 as well, but after the Morgan Gibbs-White situation, I think a number 10 is an absolute priority. I mean, look, that's slight. I mean, you've got Matisse Tell. There's a confirmation from January. That's been permanent. Kevin Danso has been made permanent. Luka Vuskovic, I expect to go on loan. Takai is injured, so welcome to Spurs. Mohamed Kudus I think, is going to be a brilliant signing. And I think that could be the signing of the window. It's that one at the bottom there, João Paulinho. It's a no-risk loan for someone who was so good in the Premier League. I think he made 100 more tackles than the next Premier League player over a 2-season period. So Spurs have missed, when they sold Pierre-Emile Højbjerg to Marseille, they just missed that player in the middle to just put a foot in. So he's going to be a really good player. And he's a player Thomas Frank identified when he joined the club. I think Spurs would potentially look for a number 10, maybe another forward if Richarlison gets a move, which I doubt at the moment, and maybe a centre-half that could possibly play left-back. So there's still work to do, but they need some outgoings potentially as well.
Who could go?
There's a number of youngsters who'll go out on loan, I think, over the next few days. In terms of senior players, Yves Bissouma's in his final year of his contract. That wouldn't surprise me if he got some offers. And as I say, if an offer came in for Richarlison, although he's very happy, maybe Spurs would consider it given his contract situation. So, but of course, I think the big disappointment over the last few days, obviously the Son goodbye was very emotional, but really bad news in the last few minutes of that game was James Maddison. Looks like he's injured the same knee he sustained last April. Still waiting for confirmation on that. Now, we know Spurs were looking for a creative sort of number 10 anyway. That importance, I think, has turned into a necessity.
Right. OK, well, Manchester City have spent nearly £200 million this summer. Plenty of incomings, but very little news on the future of Jack Grealish. Right, Dan, what would you say as a player would be best for him now?
Well, look, for Jack, he needs to obviously go and play. I know he'll definitely want to be in that England World Cup squad next year, and for that he has to go and play 40 games this year and get his numbers up at City. He's had a bit of a stop-start last year, wasn't favour. And now, just as Bridgie was saying about Maddison, I think it opens Spurs up for Jack in that number 10 position. He can sort of free roam a little bit, take the ball, go from side to side. That City has been very much left side dominant and staying out there, just as Pep wants to play. But at Tottenham, he might have a little bit of more of a free licence to go and make things happen, and I think that move would suit him to a T.
Tell you, I'm not sure if we've mentioned him this window so far, but Kalvin Phillips, do you feel for him?
Yeah, for sure. It's a difficult time. I mean, he's had a couple loans that hasn't really worked out. Still got a long time left at Manchester City, so it's just trying to find the right club that would help him and get his confidence back. Because a couple of years ago, I mean, he got named England's best player for the year. He was sort of first name on the team sheet with Declan Rice. And now just, the last 2 years has been really stop-start. I mean, injuries, loss of form, loss of confidence, probably loads of factors that we're not privy to. But I would love to see Kalvin Phillips get back to what he was doing at Leeds United.
Yeah, 3 years left in his deal at Manchester City. Right, on the way, we're speaking live to former Sunderland defender Danny Collins on what looks like anyway, it's been a superb window for his former club so far. For our quick-fire transfer update. The breaking news this morning, Manchester United are advancing in talks with RB Leipzig over the signing of striker Benjamin Sesko. No full agreement yet, but discussions are thought to be heading in a positive direction. RB Leipzig have made contact with Liverpool over a move for Harvey Elliott. Talks are in the early stages, but Leipzig see Elliott as a potential replacement for Xavi Simons. That's because Chelsea are aiming to sign Xavi Simons and Alejandro Garnacho before the window closes. Johan Wissa has been pictured training with his Brentford teammates amid uncertainty over his future. Aston Villa have agreed a deal with Nice for Evan Gesson. Pending a medical, the transfer will cost an initial £23.5 million, rising to potentially £28 million if bonuses are met. The 24-year-old is poised to sign a contract until 2030. West Ham are in advanced talks to sign Botafogo goalkeeper John Victor. Everton are reluctant to meet Southampton's £45 million plus valuation of Tyler Dibling. And Manchester City's teenage defender Victor Reis is close to joining Girona on loan. Now, don't forget. Now, Sunderland have been getting a lot of attention this summer for their ambitious transfer policy. Granit Xhaka and Simon Adingra are 2 of 8 signings Regis Le Bris has made so far, and they've spent over £130 million. To talk Sunderland, we're joined by a 2-time Player of the Year, Sunderland Matchday commentator, and more importantly, birthday boy. It's Danny Collins. Danny, happy birthday. What you got planned today?
Starting the morning with a chat with you, Tom. Try and get through some of Sunderland's business and a fairly quiet day, really. I've had 45 birthdays now, so don't have to celebrate too many more.
the cricket whites will be on, no doubt whatsoever. Right, we've just mentioned a busy one for Sunderland, Danny. 8 signings made. So far, what have you made of their business?
Yeah, I think everyone looking from the outside are thinking, well, have a look at Sunderland. They're making a few moves. I think it was obviously needed. We've seen the gulf in the last few years, what it's like between the step up from the Championship going into the Premier League and how sides have fared and obviously come back down. But as you can see on the graphic there, they've made some good moves in the transfer market so far, mixed it with some good talented young players with some experience in the likes of obviously Granit Xhaka coming in. Ronaldo Mandava coming in as well from Atletico. But I still think the business isn't done yet. I still think we need 3 or 4 before the season starts, really, and try and build a squad which is capable of competing in the Premier League. And obviously the aim this season, certainly for myself, and I'm sure the Sunderland fans will agree, is finishing 17th or above.
The name that stood out on that list was definitely Granit Xhaka. That made a lot of people say, wow. What did you make of the ambitious move to get him by Kira Louis-Dreyfus, the owner?
Yeah, I think a lot of people would have been surprised. I think you look where his journey's been the last few years. Obviously, Arsenal for a few seasons, then obviously going to Leverkusen, winning the league 2 so. As you can see him there, stepping off the plane. And a big commitment from himself first up. I think at the weekend, I didn't see the game, but by all accounts, he put in a good performance, had the armband on as well. So whether he is to come in as the club captain moving forward, we'll have to wait and see. But a fantastic addition to the squad and to bring his experience. I think he's 32 now. He's still got some good years ahead of him. But for as I said earlier, the talented youngsters we've got in the squad, and then to add a bit of experience through the spine of the team, it's going to obviously help us moving forward.
Yeah, what specific areas still need strengthening? We know that Chelsea forward Mark Guew is currently at Sunderland. He's having a medical. That would be a season-long loan. So strike force, would that be enough for the forwards? But also there's a glaring hole at the back as well, isn't there?
Yeah, I think, so I just wrote down there, I think 2 centre-forwards I had. Obviously, Mayenda last season, fantastic. And the way he stepped forward towards the end of the season, massive contribution for us, getting back to the Premier League. And obviously Wilson Isidore, but 2 young forwards. Neither have got experience at Premier League level. So yeah, getting the boy in from Chelsea will be a great addition. But I think maybe go and get another one who's got a little bit of experience, sort of between 25 to 30, whether it's Premiership or top leagues in Europe. So I'm sure they're looking at that as well. And as you mentioned, Tom, yeah, centre-backs as well. At this moment in time, there's only Dan Ballard really, who's a regular centre-back who's fit. Luke O'Nine's injured. Jensen Sealt's come in pre-season. He's had a couple of good run-outs, but he's had injury problems as well. Chris Mettam obviously returned to Bournemouth in the summer. So I think they need a good experienced centre-back or maybe another one as well to come into the squad. So for, 8 signings we've made, I still think we need 3 to 4 and maybe another winger or 2 as well.
It's not just transfers, is it? How important was it that the head coach, Regis Le Bris, signed a new contract, and that came out of nowhere too?
Yeah, obviously for himself, fantastic. I think if you look at his journey in coming into the club last season, where the previous season we tailed off, finished 16th, and for him to come in and pick the squad up, obviously with the players that we had and maybe 1 or 2 additions to come in. Obviously Enzo Lefebvre coming on loan as well last season. But what a job he done. You know, start of the season, we got off to a flyer. First 4 or 5 games of the season, top of the table. And we were in the top 4 throughout the season, really. Obviously, we tailed off. I think we lost the last 5 going into the playoffs. So obviously there's going to be a lot of doubt. and how you're going to fare. But we came through against Coventry and obviously down at Wembley against Sheffield United as well. So he's done a fantastic job. It's obviously going to be a stern test for him as we move into the Premier League, but he'll feel that he's earned that contract, and, you know, credit to the club for backing him.
Danny, it's Michael here. Can you hear me?
Well,
Hi, Michael, you okay?
Yeah, good. Yeah,
I've got him.
Yeah, just a quick one. Did all pundits and ex-players and presenters dye their hair when Sunderland got promoted?
This is Sun, mate. This is too much cricket. And I was at Durham, Sussex yesterday as well. It was red hot. And obviously the sun's got the better of me. So I'm delighted at 45 that I've still got a full head of hair to deal with every morning, mate. So
See ya.
yeah, trip to Turkey for a lot of us soon anyway. Right, Danny, thanks for starting your birthday with us. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, cheers, Tom. Cheers, lads. See you in a bit.
Right, Chelsea then. They've been active in the transfer market. They always are. But by selling players as well as buying this time, certainly. Michael, in terms of coming in, what else are Chelsea wanting to do?
Well, they want Xavi Simons and Alejandro Garnacho before the window closes. Now, they're confident and the discussions are going on. And what the key is, there are good relations between the two clubs. We know Alejandro Garnacho doesn't really have a future at Manchester United, and Manchester United looking to spend big, which we've been talking about. But of course, they've agreed with UEFA to balance their spending this summer. They made some big signings, João Pedro and Liam Delap, as you mentioned as well, but plenty of outgoings as well. So it was interesting, this mini window before the Club World Cup. And of course, it's been a brilliant few months for Enzo Maresca. Champions League qualification, they won the Conference League. Yes, they're expected to win it, but they won it. And then this Club World Cup, it's been a great few months for him. So it'd be interesting to see how they get on now they've returned to training this week.
And Dan, there's lots of players who, because Chelsea have been selling quite well, haven't they? We were talking about that yesterday, but there are players who went on loan last season. They don't seem to be expected to be involved this season. Ben Chilwell, Axel Disasi, Raheem Sterling is a big one as well. How hard is it for a player when you're contracted to a club, but it doesn't look like you've got a future at that club?
Yeah, it's really tough. I think those three definitely will be looking to get out at some stage. Where, I don't know. Obviously, Disasi was on loan at Aston Villa. Whether they would take him back, I'm not sure. I mean, even Bournemouth, they're definitely looking for defenders after losing Kerkez, Dean Huijsen, possibly even Zabani. He's been with Paris Saint-Germain for a long time. So, Alex Disasi is one to watch. But yeah, Sterling and Chilwell, they'll want to get out and play. They're competitors. They want to play football. Again, the last couple of seasons hasn't gone to plan for those two guys, but two really good players. And whatever club they end up will certainly help them.
But when we talk about their selling, Mike, we have, for a number of windows now, talked about how much Chelsea spend. But in fairness, when they do spend big on a player, they don't tend to lose too much money on them. It's not like they overpay for someone and they leave for free in 5 or 6 years' time.
No,
these players, if they're not wanted anymore, they're going for pretty much at least what they spent on them. Yeah,
and a key example is going to be, well, we're going to talk about Everton shortly, and Keenan Dewsbury Hall, who's barely kicked a ball for Chelsea last season. It looks like they're going to recoup most of the money for them. So look, there was a lot on Enzo Maresca a season ago. People weren't sure how it was going to go, but as I go back to, I think it's been a big success in the Champions League qualification, Club World Cup. You can't do much more than that, can you?
Yeah, no, he's been brilliant since he's come in. It was a tough job to come in, and sort of there were so many players. They were still buying players. But now I feel like they've really got a settled squad. I know there's still one or two to come in, but they got so much competition for places. I mean, they've probably got two world-class players in every position at the moment. I still would say is the goalkeeper is the main issue there now. I think obviously the number 9, everyone was talking about it, but they've got 3. They've got Nicholas Jackson there as well, who potentially might leave, but if he stays, I'm sure he's going to play a lot of football along with João Pedro, who I think is an unbelievable world-class player. And then Liam Delap as well coming on the back of that. So they got plenty of options. Even the Jamie Gittens on the left side, fantastic player from Dortmund. No one's really seen much of him as yet. But yeah, they've got really, really good talented squad.
Yeah, they could be a force this season. Now, transfer update to bring you, because LAFC will hold a news conference at 10 p.m. tonight, when it's expected they will officially announce Heung-Min Son's signing from Tottenham for a fee of over £20 million. Right, still to come on Good Morning Transfers, we'll focus our attention on one of Dan's former clubs, Bournemouth. They've lost some key players this summer. Will they be able to replace them all? He scored 6 goals in 32 appearances for the club. Right, Bournemouth have made just 3 signings this window, but they have seen the likes of key players Dean Hyson and Milos Kerkez leave the club. Right, Dan Gosling played for Bournemouth, bit of a Bournemouth legend. How much of a miss will those players be? In fact, we can show the whole list of players that they've lost, because remember, Kepa ended his loan deal as well, who did very, very well at Bournemouth last season, and there's more that could go. But of these players here, and you add Kepa to that, how much of a miss will they be?
Yeah, I think obviously the biggest two are Dean Huijsen and Milos Kerkez. Those were the two. Dean, to be fair, was a player that no one expected to do what he did. Only himself, speaking to the guys that I know down there, they say the biggest quality he has is his mental strength, and his mentality towards the game is fantastic, and that's why he's gone to Real Madrid, and that's why he's sort of seemed fitted straight away into that back four in the Club World Cup, just like he's been there for 10 years. So he's going to be a big loss. Like I say, Kerkez, his energy up and down. They've signed a replacement in Truffert for him, who I've seen and looks really good. But yeah, they've got a little bit of work to do.
And the manager, Areoli, has been very highly praised, but he's still at Bournemouth. How important is that?
Yeah, massive, yeah. He's come in. Obviously, he didn't get off to the best of starts, and fair play to Bournemouth sticking by him. Because after 9 games, I don't think he won a match, and there was a little bit of noise around it. But no, since then, he's turned a corner. He's been fantastic for the group, for the club, for the town itself. I think everyone's buying into exactly what he wanted. It just took a little bit of time to get his message across. But no, they've been fantastic. Last year was a great season. I think one important business is keeping hold of Antoine Semenyo.
Yeah.
He's a really, really big attacking threat, and I think he was getting linked with Spurs and Manchester United early on in the window. So to keep him is really big. But yeah, they just need to shore up that back line and get a couple more additions in for me.
For you, Dan, personally, a lot of people are asking if you're still involved at Bournemouth, but it's not, is it?
No.
Where are you now?
Yeah, no, I'm at Watford now, so I'm coaching the under-18s there. Started that role this season, so I was assistant to the 21s last year to Charlie Daniels, who was the ex-teammate. And then I've gone down to lead the 18s group, which has been great first few weeks in the job.
Ah, fantastic. Right, glad you're enjoying it. Now, another one of your old clubs, Everton, they are reluctant to meet Southampton's £45 million plus valuation of Tyler Dibbling. Southampton have told Everton they want a guaranteed £45 million plus strong bonuses on top if they're to sell the winger. This was after they rejected Everton's third bid of around £43 million. How do you see this one playing out, Michael?
I'd like to know what strong bonuses are. Does that mean...
I think it must mean realistic add-ons.
Yeah, guaranteed top 12. I don't know. Yeah, realistic. Let's give it realistic. Yeah. But look, that's still a lot of money. It doesn't seem they're too far away in valuation, but that's big money. I mean, you look at Everton's record signings in the past, if we can get it. Let's have a look at Everton's record signings.
This would take it right up there.
Oh, just like that. I mean, that's one that stands out there is Richarlison. Who's loved, obviously, still. He's now at Tottenham. But look, that would be potentially a record signing. But let's not forget as well, they've got Keenan Dewsbury-Hall potentially coming in from Chelsea as well. We know David Moyes was speaking the other week in America. He was quite frustrated about the lack of signings. And I think what he did for Everton at the end of last season maybe slightly went under the radar. Yeah, he went in and there was a lot of noise about it, and then he kind of come in and sort of made everyone sort of be quiet, really, and no one was talking about them. They're obviously going to a new era now. I think David Moyes is the perfect manager to lead them into that new stadium. But now they need 1 or 2 signings to excite the fans, because at the moment, the fans are going to go there with that similar feeling towards the end of Goodison, fighting relegation battles the last few years. But yeah, new stadium, I heard it's amazing, so they just need a couple players in. I think the two lads I linked with, Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, would be a fantastic addition, and Tyler Dibbling, I've heard a lot about him. Adam Lallana speaks really highly of him. One of the best technical players that he's worked with. That's a ringing endorsement, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, obviously Adam has technical ability himself, so yeah, I think the money is worth it for Tyler. I think he's going to go on to do special things in the game.
Am I right in thinking that David Moyes would have been your Everton manager throughout?
Yes.
And with Keenan Dewsbury-Hall coming in, is he his sort of player, his sort of midfielder?
I think he's Everton's sort of midfielder. I think he's that grit, that tenacious, up and down, box-to-box player, can make things happen. Everton fans, they want people that work hard and will trap back, put a sliding tackle in, then release the ball. And I think that's what Kieran Dewsbury-Hall will bring, energy, tenacious into that midfield, and then he'll give it to the likes of Tyler Dibbling, hopefully, who will then go on and do all the technical dribbling stuff and get the fans out of their seats just as much as a slide tackle would.
Yeah, and we can have a look at Everton's midfield options right now, because David Moyes has said that in terms of central midfield and wingers, they are short. Or wingers, you can see that there's only 2 there. So that's obvious. And in central midfield, I mean, if you're going to play 3 in central midfield, you need more. And the bottom 2 central midfielders there are very young and might, for instance, go out on loan. So you can see when David Moyes says central midfielders and wingers, he's absolutely right, isn't he?
Yeah, I
Clear.
also don't see Alcaraz as being a typical centre midfielder as well. I think he's more of a sort of number 10 forward player for me. So yeah, they definitely need to strengthen in that area. Even if they get Kieran in, they probably could do with another one. But there might be other areas in that team where they need to strengthen first.
Right, we've just got one final transfer to talk about, because former England winger Andros Townsend has joined the Thai club Kanchanaburi Power, making a move for the 16th club of his career. 13-time England international. He's 34. He joins the club after they promoted to the Thai top division last season. Best of luck to Andros Townsend. Dan Gosling, thank you very much indeed for this morning. I bet no one at home realised this was your debut. Well done.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Enjoyed it.
That was more than solid. It was an excellent debut, 10 out of 10. Michael, thank you. We'll see you in a couple of hours' time. But Good Morning Transfers is...
Welcome to Sports Lab, bringing you the latest football transfer developments across the Premier League and beyond. Here's what's making headlines today. Guiu undergoing Sunderland medical. Latest from Sky Sports News. Keith Downey. Mark Guiu is currently at Sunderland undergoing a medical. He's agreed to a season-long loan from Chelsea. Jackson, earmarked as Man United, Newcastle target if Sesco move fails. The Athletic reports. Manchester United and Newcastle United have earmarked Chelsea striker Nicholas Jackson as a contingency plan if they fail to land RB Leipzig's Benjamin Sesko. Sky Sports News reported last night that there is a growing feeling Sesco wants to join Man United. Although Chelsea are not actively looking to sell Jackson, he is facing increasing competition for a starting spot up front and may look to move elsewhere for regular game time. That's all for now from Sports Lab. Stay tuned for more breaking updates as the transfer window continues to heat up.